This season marks a new beginning. Witness the raw power, iconic sound, and pure speed from the historic Lotus 79. Experience the competition and glory days of early 80s open-wheel action. Watch as drivers wrestle these ground effects cars into submission. Drivers will face off wheel to wheel. For some, it's a chance at redemption. For others, an opportunity to make a statement. All sharing the same goal, to be crowned champion. Tune in Thursday nights on the iRacing Esports Network to watch the premier historic open-wheel series on iRacing, the Lionheart Retro Series presented by Butt Kicker. Sebring's jarring bumps definitely shook up a few drivers, but what might be mirrored in the competitors this week is the drastic rise and fall of the circuit. Road Atlanta's enormous crests and valleys create an exciting lap. However, the fact that 3 different classes of cars will be racing at once will keep everyone on their toes. Who will fall to the doldrums and who will rise to the top? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 3 of the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth covering the prototype and GTLM classes is Bill Soup Zahn. Keeping us up on the GTD class is Taylor Burris. Behind the scenes is our director Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Taylor, from the flatness of Florida to the hills of Georgia, tell us about Road Atlanta.
Of course, and welcome everyone to Road Atlanta. Opened in 1970, this beautiful 2.5 mile or 4.0 kilometer 12-turn circuit is one of the major spectacles in sports car racing with the Petit Le Mans or the 10 hours at Road Atlanta. This track has provided some of the most greatest action and some historic events throughout the decades. To give you the fan to see what it is like to take on the twists and turns of Road Atlanta, let us go on board for a GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Taylor Burris in the GSRC 4 GT, so let's do a lap around Road Atlanta. Coming down to turn 1, this is a frighteningly fast corner. You might still see some brave passes into here, but a mishap tends to end your day quickly. From there, you'll try to line yourself up over the blind crest of 2 and set up for 3. Knowing your turn-in point will be tricky and require great precision. After that, you'll hug the inside of 4 to set yourself up for the S's. The racing through this valley should be pretty much single file all day, otherwise you're taking an incredible risk. Turn 5 sees a lot of unforced errors, and most drivers pay for it in bodywork with how little runoff there is on either side. Finally, you get a short breather up to 6, which has more camber than you'd expect. That makes it tough to overtake here, and honestly, it's better to set yourself up for 7 anyways. This is the most critical corner of the circuit, with it leading you onto the backstretch. Fail to get a good launch on the exit, and you'll find yourself very vulnerable to attack. You see, it's not just the slipstream that offers your opponents a good opportunity. It's the fact that the turn 10 chicane is one of the heaviest braking zones of the lap. For the layman, that means a majority of the passes you'll see will take place here. So if the other driver doesn't get it done on the straight, they're likely to try to beat you to the apex when you get on the binders. From off the corner, you'll already start aiming the car across the crest and under the bridge. From there, it's very marginal getting through the final corner, which is another really dangerous turn. But hopefully you've kept it together and have now finished the lap around Road Atlanta. You see a lap around Road Atlanta, and that should give you a sense of what I was talking about with the rise and fall and the elevation around this place. But Bill, some drivers are certainly rising in the points now that we've got 2 races down.
Yeah, Billy Smith is one of those as we go ahead and we look at the prototype standings. Now, it's early days yet, so we really can't get a picture of what's going on, but I think maybe the surprising note here is the success of Kevin O'Keefe down there, tied for 3rd. He's been very impressive in this one. Now, remember, it's early days. It's going to shake up. Smith on top, Andre in 2nd, and Ulmer the final podium spot. Let's go ahead and look at the other one, the GTE category. Now, this one, you see the lead there by Simonic. What is it? It's 11 points, and honestly, that indicates a little misleading. It should always be more than that. He has been totally dominant in this one. Unless somebody really ups their game, this thing is going to be over early for him. It's going to be hard-pressed for the rest of the guys. Maybe a battle for 2nd as the season goes on. Let's go ahead and look at the AM category there, the GTD guys. Now, this one's interesting. A couple names we're not familiar with. Kevin Santana, longtime veteran, sitting 11 back. And look how close they are for 2nd as you have Scott Corbin, Tim McLeish, and Alan Hasebeck all within 3 points of each other. But right now, Mike Major, the newcomer, the rookie, driving away with this one. And then finally, we look at the team championship. And this one, we're still waiting to get a feel for how this one's going to play out. It takes us a little while. They've added a 4th driver this season. We'll get a feel to how this plays out. It looks like we're going to have a close one today, at least from the top 2 teams. I have to note that TMC Clover, they changed their teams from number 1 and number 2 to Scarlet and Clover. This commentator appreciates that. We'll get a little more in-depth on this, give you a little more analysis as the season goes on. It's still a little early to get a feel for what's going on yet, Joe.
Of course, and our viewers always need a feel for what's going on out on track. Taylor, the race details for today, what's in store?
Well, of course, this is round 3 here. We are still early on in the season of a 14-race schedule, currently running our American tracks here with the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge. We have, of course, 3 classes with the prototypes with the HPD Hondas, the GTLMs with the Porsche, Ford, Ferrari, and BMW, and then our GTD class with the Mercedes and the Audis. This is a 60-minute race, but due to the fact of this race, we can see a lot of open setups for these drivers to make needed adjustments to help them get through these 60 minutes. Of course, there is going to be a required pit stop during this race due to the fact that the fuel cells are restricted, so they will not be able to make a full-length run at this race. And then, of course, the big one here, the incident cap. It's a 24 incident limit, so that means anytime you go off track, make contact with the barriers, another car, or even spin out, that will rack up incident points, and if you get too many, you will be disqualified. And unfortunately, in this championship, with how tight the competition can be, that can cost you big time here in this series. Joe?
Absolutely. Mistakes have certainly been costly so far in the first couple rounds. A number of drivers throwing away potential good finishes. Jason Girard, definitely one of those. Both of the opening rounds at Daytona and Sebring, Bill,
Yeah.
It seemed like an off season for him.
23rd and an 8th is what he put in his first 2 rounds. They do have 2 drop freaks, so just throw those away. And if he can make perfect attendance all the way out and have a chance at this one, he just got bumped off the pole by Big Cheese. Homer goes to the top. You know, Joe, I want to talk about the driver showing up in the GTE category that we haven't seen for a while, at least in the first 2 races. He petitioned to come in and race a little bit. Bradley Haley is back, the Comet. So maybe Samotic has a little bit of competition now.
Yeah, there's about a 10th between them in qualifying, so Haley's still lacking a little bit of speed, but this track known for traffic making things kind of hectic and unpredictable. So maybe he'll get opportunities to attempt something if things swing his way. Watching Dale Green come around. He's currently last in the qualifying for the prototypes. This last lap, unfortunately, not going to be any faster for him. We had a bit of a surprise last round, though, Taylor, with Dawson Brock coming in and taking the victory, although a little bit of luck seemed to be in his favor, but boy, he grabbed it with both hands.
Hey, sometimes it just got to be there at the right time to get these wins, and Dawson Brock definitely showed that with a lot of issues, especially on the opening stages at Sebring, where a lot of cars, including some of our major front runners, getting taken out early in the race, causing Dawson to work his way up through the field and stay out of trouble. I mean, he did come close, though, on that final lap, though, at Sebring, as there was multiple cars spinning off through Sunset. So he was very fortunate to get through there, but I think this just shows that he has the ability to take the fight for the championship, and he's still backing it up, currently sitting on the front row in the GTT class.
Dawson Brock, part of that Grizzly contingent coming in that includes Jason Vroom-Borowski, Travis Henderson, and then, of course, Joshua Howland-Wolf as well.
We're watching David Sockrider, who's a little lower down the order. I can report that Billy Smith just had his fastest lap, but unfortunately, he's still stuck in fourth. He did not manage to gain positions that last time through. He is our points leader at the moment, so he's going to want to get a little bit higher than the outside of the second row. Dean Mole, in the meantime, comes around, and this one not going to count, unfortunately, for him. Had an off track, so it looks like he won't be able to have this one hit the board for him. This is Jason Gerard, who is our provisional pole sitter. He managed to go faster than Ulmer recently. This one, though, it does not improve on his 109.3. And talking about those off tracks, Bill, I know Taylor mentioned that they can be disqualified. You know, I'm not so sure that we'll see too many cars that could rack up enough of them around here. I feel like damage would come into effect before that.
Sitter in the prototypes. Jason Gerard, actually, it was at Phillip Island a few seasons ago, was racing for a podium position and blinked out on the very last lap. So we've seen it happen. Yeah, I'm not sure if Road Atlanta really will be the kind of track that might steal guys away from that one. Let me correct myself when I talked about the results from Gerard. I mentioned he finished 23rd. It was actually, he has a 5th and a 13th so far this season. I was looking at the points he earned instead of the finishing position. Nevertheless, not the kind of season he wanted to open up with.
Carter Kundinger, of course, we saw for a moment, does not set a faster lap, so we switched back to Scott McGarvey, the champion in these cars, not necessarily this class. They used to be considered LMP2 last season. Now they're called the prototype class. They are the fastest car. Scott has been competitive, and this 109.3 does bump him up into the top 5, but he seems to be a little bit outclassed in pace today.
You know, Joe, we got to talk to John Ulmer maybe. I'd like to ask him why he decided when the prototype, when this car that we're racing today was the second fastest class, right? Last season, am I correct on that? Because
yes.
They put the, yeah. I'm surprised that, I guess John just likes to race in the fastest class that's out there, whatever it is. He doesn't like to worry about getting out of the way of people, because you would have thought he would have stuck with the car that had been so good to him.
That is a good question. We'll have to ask him if he comes on in. We got to talk to him after round 1 because he won at Daytona, but certainly didn't have his luck return at Sebring. Travis Henderson coming through the final chicane, up and over the hill through the last corner. Let's see what the number 24 car's got underneath him. A 1:10.7 is his fastest lap, and that's going to stay his fastest lap. He's had a lot of discounted laps so far here in qualifying.
Henderson's sitting 6th in the point, just off our top 5 graphic. Good debut for him so far.
Now, we are watching McGarvey, but I should point out, and those who are eagle-eyed may have looked up at the top of the screen during this qualifying, it is actually incredibly tight for the front row. Gerard and Ulmer separated by 0.16 of a second. Let's see what McGarvey can do. This is a slow lap, actually, for him as we see his time, so that is not going to improve on his position.
The top 4 within 0.2 of each other. That includes Cy Onder and Billy Smith. Here's Billy Smith right now.
So Billy on a bit of a warm-up lap, I believe. Oh, and John Ulmer takes the pole away from Gerard. Once again, it is by small increments, a quarter of a tenth of a second for Ulmer over Gerard right now.
Yeah, but that's huge, though. That's going to put him out in front in clean air. That's good for Ulmer. He'll be first into corner number 1. Should be able to get that, I would imagine, be able to lead the first lap around.
So we return to Jason Gerard, the SRN Motorsports gray driver on the back stretch. He has at least this lap and possibly even 2 more, I should say, by the time we see left. They're very short laps around here to manage to take that pole back. Don't forget, Cy Andra, Billy Smith could be in this as well. They are both 3rd and 4th respectively behind Gerard. Let's see Gerard to the finish of this lap though and see what he's got underneath him. A 109.368. He's got to beat a 109.344, but it's not going to count for him. So I abandoned that lap, so he's really got to hustle to get back around in time.
Loving this new format, Joe, that they have where they've put all the AM drivers down in the, what would be the GTDs, I guess. It really increases the talent pool up top. I mean, in the prototypes and the GTEs. I'm looking down there, names in the GTEs: Simonic, Haley, DeVries, McGarvey, Tricot. Mike Young is a fast driver. Just, boy, this is tough. This is tough.
Well, and we should point out, though, that Travis Henderson, unfortunately, going to end his qualifying prematurely, so we switched to Gerard. So the rule is on the GTDs and the AMs is only the AMs can enter the GTD class. So the AMs, if they want, can race in the GTE
right,
or the prototype cars. But if anybody wants to compete with the GTDs, they cannot be above a silver license in these cars.
Yeah, the point I was making is none of the top tier drivers are hiding out down there in the
exactly.
GTD,
Yeah,
like when they were last time.
Oh, and Gerard back to the pole. Still less than a tenth between them. A 109.257 for Jason Gerard. And Cy does get across the line just in time as the checkered flag comes out. Who is going to be crossing? It looks like the first one to finish is going to be Carter Kundinger. He sits P6, just behind our current reigning champion of Scott McGarvey. Number 23 car down the back stretch. His fastest is a 109.9. He's only half a second off of our leader here in qualifying. Oh, and he's going to abandon the lap, so that is it for him. Same thing with Dane Mole. Brandon Guarcia, who's in 9th, he's going to try and finish this one. And that is his fastest, a 109.9, so that should move him up to 7th. See Leif Peterson continuing as well. He's currently sitting in 8th. He'll be right behind Cy Andra. See if Andra can take the pole as we ride on board with Peterson. Andra's last lap, unfortunately, not going to count. And Peterson, 109.8, jumps him up to 6th ahead of Carter Kundinger. And I believe that is everybody. Indeed it is. In our qualifying here today for round 3 of the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge. That's going to bring us to our starting grid, so let's go through your order. Jason Gerard will be on the pole, just barely beating out John Ulmer by less than a tenth of a second. Cy Andra, not too far behind, sitting there in 3rd. And the outside of row 2, we'll have our championship leader, Billy Smith, starting 4th. Scott McGarvey, current champion, starts P5 with Leif Peterson next to him in 6th. Leif obviously picking up his game this race. Credit to him. Carter Kundinger starts 7th with Brandon Guarcia starting 8th. Kevin O'Keefe a little bit farther down in his qualifying today. He'll be P9. Liam Quinn in 10th. Dean Mole starts P11. Robert Kanchan 12th and Travis Henderson 13th. Then it's David Sockrider who will start in P14. Mark Wilson in 15th. The last of the prototype field will be Dale Green in 16th position. Bill?
drivers in the next class, led by Alex Simonic. Bradley Haley is going to be outside of him. Jason Deep Priest DeVries in the third position. Stephen McGarvey flanks him. Olivier Turcotte in fifth. Mike Young outside of him. Seventh and eighth goes to William Lester and Ryan Huff. Andy Scheil and Joshua Howland-Wolf are next. Ross Booth and Daniel Gralty are in the next row. Paul Lindsay and Sheldon Rosenbaum. It's going to be Dave Hill and Mr. Excitement Matt Quinn down there. Joey Tungale in the 106 machine. It's going to be inside of Dino Topic. Armando Edwards, Lyndon Swaby, Mark Schindel, Chris Costa, and Tyler Guillemette. Tyler?
Starting on the pole position in your GTD class will be Paul Sylvanik. Right beside him on the outside row in second will be Dawson Brock. Kevin Santana will be starting in the 42nd position overall, with Lionel Duprat right beside him in 43rd. Scott Corbin will start in the 44th position, with Tim McLeish in 45th. Robert Jackman will start in 46th position. Alongside him, Mike Major in 47th. Shane Hunter will start in 48th, followed by Trevor Vavrowski in 49th. Jay Frells will start 50th. Sheldon Woloshin will start 51st, with Marty Jeffries in 52nd. Gerard Gilbert will start 53rd, with Alan Haysbeck in 54th. Kurt Gross will start 55th, with Mark Pietrowski in 56th. Robert Schlenka in 57th, with Sean Reese in 58th. And then rounding out the rest of your 60-car grid field, Matt Owens and Art Peck, who did not set a qualifying time. Joe?
A big field out here today on a track that has a very short lap and a portion of the circuit which proves difficult to overtake on.
Traffic is going to be just horrendous, especially, Joe, from between corners number 1 and corners number 5. You're just going to have to be patient, and if you're not, your day will end early.
Well, we'll probably lose the impatient ones pretty quickly, I imagine. So let's go to our tradition then of our daily picks. Let's go to Bill first. Who do you think's going to win today?
All right, there's no way that the racing gods can continue to point their bony finger of fickle at Jason Girard. He's got to get the win, so look for him in the prototypes. Now down here, welcome back. I think it's time to award Bradley the Comet Haley with a win, as he's going to outduel Simonic. Look for Haley to be a little faster in the pit stops. Taylor?
It's going to be a tough one here in the GTD, but I'm going to have to go with momentum with Dawson Brock. He's got that win at Sebring. He's starting on the outside front row with Paul Sylvanik. I'm going to keep an eye on him, and I think he might take home the win.
All right, we'll see. Fans of Matt Owens, I have sad news. He has had a disconnect. Unfortunately, his internet connection seems to have fallen afoul of the limits of what iRacing finds acceptable, and it automatically removed him from the server. He can reconnect, but obviously he's going to start at a severe disadvantage, even if he gets in right now, which I haven't seen him reconnect yet. It's not looking good for him.
Joe, that's one of the biggest problems here with iRacing when it comes to compared to real-world racing. You don't have to worry about maybe an engine malfunction or any other tech, but you do have to make sure you have your computer and internet connection set up properly in order to compete at the highest levels.
My computer was yelling at me when I was trying to load up the session with all of these cars here. It took a long time. I was able to go out and get a little snack, come back, and sit down when it was done.
Same here.
All right, they plunge down the hill towards the most popular passing spot on the track, into the chicane behind the Porsche pace car. You can see they've separated the classes. It is a split start here in the Autobahn series, just to make sure that they don't run into trouble. Hopefully they don't run into trouble. We'll find out soon enough as they come over the final crest. Green flag awaits them as Girard has control. Green flag waves here in round 3 at Road Atlanta. Girard with a nice jump. John Omer a little bit under threat into the first corner as they come to turn 1. Top 4 goes single file. Otherwise, it's double file from most of the back of the field. One car off. Otherwise, it's safe. Let's go to the GTEs.
Coming out at 12, Simonic wasted no time getting on the gas. Didn't want to get caught up in any of it. Haley drops into second. DeVries in third. They are very clean as they work through 1. Boy, I'll tell you, the GTDs are way back there. They're just getting to corner number 12 right now. Taylor?
Yes, they come. Here comes Paul Slavonic with a great jump with Dawson Brock and Kevin Santana battling it out right now for second as they go up to turn 1 right now. Scott Corbin looking all over the back bumper of Lionel Duprat as they make the climb. So far, no major incidents as a little bit of contact between Jackman along with the likes of Tim McLeish as they make it up down the S's. Joe?
Let's see if they all get through turn 3, and it's looking pretty good, but this battle that we see on screen is between Cy Andra and John Ulmer. Ulmer's going to come out ahead into the braking of 10, but they are losing touch with Gerard something fierce.
Just so you know, the prototype leaders are into corner number 12, the final corner, and the back of the GTD class is yet to get to corner 6. We're going to have lap traffic before we can say, it's going to be here in a lap or two.
Well, the good news for Gerard is he's got 3 seconds for a gap, so he can take his time picking through that mess. It's very different in the GTEs, though. Simonic is almost 0.3 of a second ahead of Haley. Haley giving chase, starting to pull away from the car behind Jason DeVries.
They head down towards 5 now, the trickiest corner on the track. This left-hander that sets up a little drive down into 6. McGarvey rounds out your top 5 in this class. They start to distance themselves. Mike Young hanging on there. A big gap back to Olivia Turcotte.
And this first lap went a lot better here at Road Atlanta than it did at Sebring for DeVries. He got a cut course penalty last round, and that made life extremely difficult for the number 1 car.
We have a trouble in turn 5, though, between a lot of drivers. Scott Corbin, Trevor Wawrowski, several drivers making it contact here in turn 5.
McLeish involved, it looks like. Corbin. So let's take a look at the replay of what exactly happened. Turn 5, kind of notorious in any car at this track, Taylor.
It is. I mean, just going over those curves, it's very difficult as we watch right now with Wawrowski as he makes the climb up out of the S's. We see Corbin get real loose, and then boom, there's the contact. We see McLeish hit into the barrier. Thankfully, it only looks like about 3, maybe 4 cars back. As we go on board with Corbin. There he is making the climb. We just see him get loose, taking a little bit too much curb by the looks of it coming out of 5, and just could not hold the brakes quick enough. There goes McLeish. A lot of great driving by some of it to avoid the accident, though, for some of these drivers.
While we're watching that replay, Travis Henderson and Mark Wilson got together in the prototypes. They keep racing, but they've lost a lot. Paul Lindsay took a little trip to the Georgia countryside there. He's fallen back in 2 positions, and another car crashes as I speak. That's Joey Trungale. He loses it going into 6.
Wow, a lot of action happening. I can report Stephen McGarvey also falling down the order for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. That GTE car, we don't need to go to him, is very slowly trundling down the backstretch. Right now we're watching John Ulmer, who still holds 2nd place and has been able to fend off Cy Andra. Plus, he has stopped the run that Jason Gerard has had. It's only 3.5 seconds now. So now that Ulmer's in clear air, he is trying to catch up, and he might be helped soon because Gerard is already at the back of the GTDs.
So just to follow up on your thing about Stephen McGarvey, I believe he became victim to an early lap slowdown penalty where he had to pay it for way longer than he should have.
Oof. Bad news for him. As we watch Ulmer, he's now also reaching the last few cars in the GTD class. It is about to get very, very interesting, especially once they get up to turn 1, like Bill said. And Gerard's getting there right now, coming up in the midst of a bunch of GT3 cars. Oh, just as we see a pass on screen, and Andra manages to sneak by Ulmer.
Boy, they are working. Oh my goodness, poor Kurt Gross trying to get out of the way. Andra and Ulmer are taking no time getting through here.
Riding on board, looking back from Cy Andra. He had his own woes last race as John Ulmer is deep on the brakes coming into turn 6. Through 7, he tries for the over-under. That gives him a fantastic run, and he is tucked right underneath the rear wing of Cy Andra. Uses that slipstream, but is he going to try and box him in? He's going to give him space. He's starting to run out of pace, though, down the backstretch as Andra starts to pull away.
How many cars can they get underneath here before they duck in? Under, whoa!
How did he hold on to that? And poor John Ulmer picks the wrong side as he loses time. Car wobbling back and forth, and somehow Cy Andra doesn't lose the number 22.
Jay Frills has no clue how close it was to having his race ended, and he gets clipped by the car in 4th position, Billy Smith, as he goes by.
Smith able to continue, but it is wild right now for these cars. Lapping everybody. It allows Billy Smith to start to catch John Ulmer. We're watching Friels, who was certainly all the way off track at one point. Smith now, they're in the number 901, chasing the 902 of John Ulmer. They're starting to lose touch with Cy Andra, who's extended it to about 1.3 seconds over the Big Cheese. As they fly down the backstretch, it's starting to settle out and calm down for just a moment. Let's check in on the GTDs. The battle for first heating up, I understand?
It is. It's a 3-car battle as now our prototype leader is working his way past Paul Slavonic right now. Kevin Santana, though, is putting a lot of pressure to the back bumper of Dawson Brock as they're coming out of turn 12 right now. This 3-car battle is just doing an amazing job right now of keeping cars keeping cars straight through this area as they go through turn 1. Santana takes a peek to the inside while Slavonic doing a great job of holding Dawson Brock, even though we're having to deal with prototype leaders coming up through the backfield right now as they go down the S's. Got to be careful with the curbing here. And also, Dawson Brock had a little bit of issue last lap going up turn 5. That's what caused Santana to get so close to his back bumper as they're making a run up now towards turn 6.
Don't forget, behind them, not too far back, is Lionel Duprat in 4th. For the GTDs as well. He's just stalking that podium bit by bit, hoping for maybe some of this crazy traffic to give him a chance to get involved. In fact, through turn 7, you can see all the ground, he gains right there.
Another driver to keep an eye on is Robert Jackman as well. He's also trying to have to work his way up through here. He's gaining a lot of ground, running currently in the 5th position. And this number 008, Mercedes has been doing a great job moving out of the way of these prototype leaders, but still within striking distance of all the GTD leaders right in front of him as he gets a big gain right through there, going through the S's under the Suzuki Bridge.
Let's stay with this because it's still very tight for the lead in the GTDs, but a real quick update from Bill. He's have news about Haley?
Yeah, about 3 laps ago, Haley lost it in quarter number 5. Put it in the wall, came back out, bounced out. McGarvey got a piece of him going by. Haley's wailed down the air now. Haley was racing in 2nd. He's fallen way down, as has McGarvey.
And that means that the gap from 1st to 2nd in GTE is now 4.5 seconds from Simonic to De Vries. This battle that is on our screens is definitely one of the most exciting right now. The battle for the lead in the GTD class is they let the cars of Kundinger and O'Keefe try and separate them momentarily. O'Keefe up to 7th since the start of the race, and obviously eager to try and get by this white HPD. Kundinger not going defensive. He holds the racing line. O'Keefe sticks his nose to the inside, barely gives him enough space on the racing line, but enough is enough, and Kundinger's allowed to continue, but not in 6th position. The 629 now gains himself one more.
Santana really tried to make a bold attempt going into those chicanes right there. He tried to take it 3 wide with a prototype to his inside and try to make a pass on Dawson Brock, but unable to. He had to check up and actually went into the grass just a little bit while they were going up towards the Suzuki Bridge, but has recovered and lost a little bit of time, though, to Dawson Brock.
Already 10 minutes into this race, and the competition today is certainly fierce and frantic, making this race zip by. Won't be long before we hit the pit window. And did we have a problem with Lindsay, or is it this is a battle on screen? Paul Lindsay and Dino Topich down for 13th within the GTE cars. That was our leader in the prototypes that just went through them, Jason Gerard. I believe that moves Lindsay up to 12th in class now, or was he already in that position? Nice little overtake for the number 70 car. So while all this is happening, the battle between Friels and Hasebeck down in the GTDs also getting interesting. Hasebeck managing to be in front now. Oh, as Friels almost pushes poor Travis Henderson completely off the track in the final chicane. They both survive.
Yeah, that brings in the 61 of Kurt Gross right into this mix of the battle right now as they're going down up into turn 1. Look at Friels, though, get a great run, though, but has to check up because he almost got into the back bumper of Hasebeck as they make the climb up into turn 3 and down the S's. As we see, it looks like Hasebeck almost clipped the curb just a little bit too much, but keeps it on the pavement as they make the run down the S's up to turn 5. Let's see what Hasebeck is able to do. Is he able to hold off the likes of Jay Friels? Doing a great job right now, holding them off as they're making the run down to turn 6.
Got a battle in the prototypes between Peterson and Mole. Peterson, unfortunately, despite his good qualifying, still down in 8th now.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell what type of battles these guys are having because it stretches out and tightens up depending on traffic. They work their way around Mark Schindel, and that is out in front. That's Peterson who got held up a little bit. Now they're coming up on back behind Tyler Gilmet.
And poor Schindel actually went completely off track to try and get out of the way of all this action with the prototypes. Peterson having to duck around Tyler Gilmet, who bobbles over turn 5. Once again, everyone survives. Now, I seem to
trouble in
recall,
turn 5. We have another issue again. This is going to be between Jackman and Duprat. Duprat just loses it coming into turn 5. Makes hard contact with the barrier and collects Jackman.
Might be fun to go on board with Robert Jackman. He has the best view of this one. Probably a better view than he would have wanted.
Front row seats, unfortunately, as they're pulling the replay up here. Turn 5 claims another victim. Oof, yeah, and that barrier, just bounced him right in his path.
Yeah, and there was nowhere for Jackman to go. I mean, that car just came right out of nowhere in front of him. It's amazing he was able to make that much hard of a contact between the two drivers. But Duprat just, I mean, turn 5, that curbing, you have to be so careful with driving through there. It is very easy to lose it. We see it time and time again, no matter what car and no matter what. Just the smallest mistake can cost you. As we see right there, it just takes a little bit of that curb right there and into the wall.
As we come back live, you can see Jackman is able to continue, but is severely damaged. What if we could, actually no, he's taken it to the pits, it looks like. Let's jump up to the prototypes. You've noticed the same thing I have, Soup.
Oh, they're coming up. This is Ulmer, and he's chasing Andre, and they are coming up on some heavy traffic here. Look at Ulmer behind. He is just, I got to give Ulmer credit for being patient. He's had opportunities, and he's decided to wait. My gosh, now they get clear of it right at the right time. But all the traffic they got into, this is bringing Billy Smith in as well. This is a battle for second position, as Gerard has ran away.
Maybe Ulmer's realized this is when the pizza starts to get slipperiest, as he uses a little bit of a tow from the car of Mike Young. Stays right tucked underneath Cy Andra. Up to the backstretch here. Look at him under braking. Gain lots of time, but unfortunately, a horrible exit onto the backstretch. Loses him everything he gained.
Ulmer has been doing this a lot. He has a lot of confidence in these slower classes that they're going to hold the racing line as they're going to be coming up on the back of Jason Dupree's. Ulmer loves to get right behind the slower traffic as we see the blip of the sky. Boy, it looks nice up there in the beautiful Georgian sky. As he gets right up behind. Now here comes the pass down into the final corner. This is going to, Ulmer's going to get a good drive off. I think he's going to get him this time.
It's a bit of a drag race, and they rub fenders. Coming down to the front stretch, that slows up Ulmer slightly.
Nowhere for Andrew to put
they
the
hit
car.
Again, and Andrew spins. He manages to avoid being hit. He slides off into the grass with coming to a halt. Gets it going once again, but he's all the way down to P6 now as O'Keefe goes by. Let's watch the replay here.
Ulmer had him pinned behind DeFries. Might have been a little bumping and banging to set it up. Oh, the helmet gets in our way of that camera. Here we go. Yeah. I don't know, Joe. I think he just got. I'm hearing he got bumped. Looked like he got this one wide to me.
It looked like there was slight contact. To me, it did, anyways. I will try and ask drivers afterwards, or maybe if they come in early, we can get a viewpoint of one of them. Unfortunately, a driver that is left early is Lionel Duprat. He's reported he has 57 minutes of repair in a 60-minute race that is already 17 minutes through. Do the math. He's done for the day. Action on screen as well. Coming down to the final chicane. That was
Quinn ahead of Garcia, huh?
Yeah, Garcia with Quinn making the pass on him to 11th. Quinn would have been a little bit higher up. I believe he was one of the drivers that didn't have a great first lap. And again, I'm a little surprised. I would have thought, with all the hype we've seen from Quinn and the Indy cars, that this would be an easy jump for him and he would be nearly dominating. Oh, Garcia just had an off.
Taking an interesting. There was some pavement out there. He thought it might use that. That looked fun. Somebody paid to put that pavement down. Might as well put it to some good use.
Battle for P2 and GTDs heating up again as Santana is all over putting the pressure on the back bumper of Dawson Brock as they come up through turn 1 and heading towards turn 2 right now. Santana has been noticed putting a lot of pressure where Brock has made a couple of small mistakes, especially going through turn 5 as well as going down the S's. So Santana is definitely waiting his time for the right opportunity to make the pass as they're coming up to turn 5 again. Late into the break, we see Santana go as we see Brock hold his line this time. Let's see what Santana can do as they make the run to turn 6.
Santana dropping off slightly in that Merc. It's the Grizzly Motorsports Dawson Brock looking for second podium in his second race. And as we watch this real quick update from Bill on the battle in the prototypes.
Yeah, coming out of the final corner, Billy Smith had a run down the main straight and got the best of John Ulmer. Moved Smith up into second.
Smith coming from a win in Sebring, obviously looking to continue his good run so far this season. Let's stay on this battle, though, because it is awful close, and that is our leader in the prototype squeezing through. Gerard looking smooth as ever. In fact, I just now noticed the gap from Gerard to Smith is 13 seconds.
Yeah, well, when it started from the very beginning, Gerard got away, and he's just been able to. First of all, he doesn't have to worry about anybody passing him because he's out in front, unlike Ulmer and Andra and Smith, who are all battling for position. He just waits and surgically works his way through traffic.
Santana just a little bit stuck here, so let's go up to the GTEs. Turcotte and Wolf in a nice little fight. They've also got Huff close behind. David Sockrider going to split them for just a second. Oh, as they almost go 3 wide, but Wolf thinks better of it in that BMW. Oh, was that a cut course for Sockrider? Because holy cow. I thought we had an accident right then and there. I don't know how they stayed away from each other.
Well, see, Sock Rider's in the battle for position with Garcia coming up right behind him. So I think Garcia, look at this, coming through the middle. That's a pass for position. Brandon's going to wait. That has done as Wolf has lost all contact now to Ducat.
Yeah, he wasn't willing to take that one 3 wide, and it looks like he's going to get opportunities, although Brandon's certainly looking a little skittish in that car lately. We've seen some mistakes from the 911 machine. This is again for P12 in the prototype class, coming down the backstretch into the final chicane, going by William Laster in the GTEs.
Well, you number your car 911, you're just kind of asking for trouble, aren't you?
Well, that's a classic Porsche number, so.
Okay. I'll buy that.
Get more traffic amongst them. Oh, and poor Sock Rider had Kurt Gross right in front of him, but still nothing that Guarcia can do up to turn 3. Can he get by Hayspec before the S's? No, he can't, and that is going to hurt Guarcia.
Look at that, boy. Sock Rider made it through, and Hayspec.
Let's go to the GTDs, battle for second.
It is heating up now. Santana's going to take a look to the inside as they go through the S's. Brock trying to hold his line as best he can after trying to do a crossover move out of turn 7 as they make it. Here we go, 3 wide with the prototype looking to the inside. Looks like Santana and Brock are not giving an inch. They let the prototype driver by. Through turn 12, we see Brock lose a little bit, but gets right in front of Santana and holds his line. But down into turn 1, Santana looks to the inside. Not going to be able to close the deal, though, as Brock holds his line up into turn 2 and 3 they go, and Santana, I think, is going to have to wait another lap to see what he can do. Maybe see if he can make another shot going up into turn 6 and 7.
It was a valiant effort. He's certainly still got time on his side, and it seems to have pace over Brock as he's been staying right with him. And something happened to Bradley Haley?
Yeah, Bradley Haley, of course, well down the order after he had his lap 3 fun in corner 5. I can report that Ulmer's back around Billy Smith again.
Meanwhile, let's head up to Ulmer and Smith.
And Cy Andra, who had issues with Ulmer earlier, just got around Scott McGarvey. So Andra up into 4th and coming. Does he have a chance to get up to the other guys? Boy, it's a long way to go. About 5 seconds to get to Billy Smith.
You know, I think Andra might just have the pace. Remember, we saw him already have to regain ground as we didn't see it on screen, but he got held up big time into turn 1. This is Smith that we're looking at as we switch back to Cy, still trying to get away from McGarvey. But yes, at both Sebring and Daytona, Andra had to recover, and he did pretty well in both cases.
Andra can see Smith. Smith is just, Andra's on the back straight right now, heading down into 6. Smith just going through there. Now he gets into 7. He'll be able to see him when they get to the straightaway.
Which they do now. Andra just getting glimpses of him down the road. 36 minutes into the race, and we do have one pitter. It looks like with a scheduled stop, I'm pretty certain. That's Ryan Huff in the GTEs.
Yeah, in the window, just coming in early.
I don't think pitting early will be too advantageous. There's just no place to hide out on this track. In fact, we have had quite a few casualties so far. As we watch the battle between Wolf and Haley once more. We've already lost Reese, Peck, Owens, Trungill, McGarvey, Kodrowski, Quinn, Duprat, and Jackman. Corbin is still in the pits taking repairs. He might return. Haley taking a look to the inside of the BMW of Josh Wolf. Going to try and outbrake him into the final chicane. He's looking strong on it, and the Comet's going to sneak into P6.
Yeah,
and problems for Andra. Big problems for Andra. I'm trying to figure out what happened here because I think he blinked out on my screen.
Boy, I can't see it
Oh.
either. Our director blinks from him.
He just almost straight lined into the wall. He must have had hardware issues, especially considering the blinking he's having on everybody's screen.
Yeah, I'd like to tell you what happened. I guess you got the best view of it, but yeah, that's his comeback is over.
Well, that promotes Scott McGarvey back to fourth, and Kevin O'Keefe.
That's what I wanted to talk about,
five.
Joe. Here's this guy. He's sitting on our top 5 overlay, just having another quiet little race here for Rutger Kev. He's got nobody around him. It's 8 seconds to McGarvey, 4 seconds Kundinger's behind him. He's sitting in a top 5 position, right behind Robert Schlinker right now as he goes around him. That's good. Another good points day for Rutgers Kev.
I wouldn't call his Sebring race a quiet one, though.
No, that's true. That's true.
As Guarcia from the prototype class is going to take his stop for the race. In fact, one of the teammates of Kevin O'Keefe on the warm-up lap. But yeah, Kevin O'Keefe, if you didn't see last round, go watch the final 10 minutes. He and Cy Andra, as well as I believe it was Scott McGarvey, just having a hell of a battle. As we jump back to Marty Jeffries, P7. And don't forget Hayspec as well. A nice little battle with Kurt Gross. They're going to be split by Travis Henderson.
Yeah, these 3 drivers have been battling it out for the duration of this race for the most part. I mean, Jeffrey's doing a great job keeping the likes of Gross behind. They were able to get by Hayspec later on in the race, but right now Jeffrey's currently leading this train of 3 cars, though they are closing in to the next car in front of them, which I believe, let's take a look at my timing and scoring. Yep, that would be Sheldon Willoshin, right, not too far in front of them as well. So they're closing in. Another driver I want to make a point out to is Mike Major. Started 47th in the field, worked his way up into 40th position overall, and 4th in class, doing a great job. And then I'm trying to figure out, doing a little research right quick. Kevin Santana had a little bit of nose damage on his Mercedes. Lost a lot of time to Dawson Brock, so I'll see what I can find on that matter.
And Daniel Gralty also pitting. Oh, did Topic have a problem? No, Topic did not have a problem. He's pitting himself. I think the dominoes are starting to fall. So, if you're just joining us, almost at the halfway point of round 3, Gerard still leading by a monster gap in the prototypes. Simonic doing the same over De Vries in the GTE class. And Paul Slavonic not doing quite the same in the GTDs.
I want to talk about Jason De Vries real quick. 17th overall, 2nd in his class. He is being hounded by Mike Young. Mike Young's doing a good job of maintaining this gap. Fortunately for De Vries, there's some clear traffic in front. I think De Vries might be a touch faster than Young. But when they get into traffic, Young gets right behind him and has a real chance of getting that 2nd spot.
Seems to be the story of the day, the ebb and flow of this traffic. Certainly causing opportunities or taking away opportunities. Right. Speaking of which, I think Smith has used some of those to his advantage. He's starting to regain on Ulmer for the battle for 2nd in the prototypes. Whoa, there's a car off track, 2 cars off track. That's Henderson and Booth. 2 different classes, Henderson in the prototypes. And I think that was 2 completely separate incidents.
Yep.
Henderson's now last in the prototypes.
Henderson went off, and Booth, I think, just being careful, leaving a lot of room to the guys around him, goes through the grass.
Let's take a look at what happened to Travis here. Could have been just out in the marbles for this. No, he took his racing line.
Yeah.
You can see how close it was with Booth almost hitting him, actually. perspective of the Grizzly Motorsports driver. I almost wonder if it was a little inside curb, maybe.
When you get to see Booth go by.
As we come back live, I can report that Peterson, I believe, just passed Kundinger. Oh, and Peterson gets turned around right now. He manages to recover the car, but he loses out to Kundinger, and he's going to immediately pit. I hope he doesn't have a meatball flag for that. Let's take a look at the replay. This would be great from above. Just got it a little bit too tight. Not sure who that was that got into him, that Porsche. And you can see he immediately makes the call to come in and pit after that happens. So Scott McGarvey, Peterson's still in his pit currently. Sock Rider pitting. Quinn has already been in and out. Guadacia has finished his stop. Peterson now returning to the track. Still missing a lot of drivers to make their stop of the race. But we're only halfway through. There's still plenty of chances. Sounds like we've had some interesting stuff happening for fifth down in the GTDs.
Yeah, we have a nice little battle going on between the likes of Sheldon Willoshin and Shane Hunter right now. They're making the climb up towards the S's in turn 3 right now. Have a little bit of prototype traffic coming up right behind them. But these two have been battling it out for these past couple of laps. Willoshin making small gains onto the back bumper of Shane Hunter as they're making their way up. Looks like Bradley Haley gone off track through the S's as they're coming up through turn 5.
Yeah, and Haley had help. We need a replay of this. That was Wolf getting into him. This was out of 4 into the S's. Oh, this will be a great look on it here. I think maybe traffic slowed them up a little bit and it was unexpected for Wolf, just unsighted. Let's see. Yeah, you could see he was slowing up for that GTD car, and poor Bradley Haley suddenly found a little bit of a push from behind. Sailor's perspective, you're going to see that BMW in his rear view screen get very big, and round he goes with a hard hit to the concrete.
Second trip into the concrete. I'm surprised he was doing as well as he did. I went to see if he took a pit stop. He did not after putting it in the wall at corner number 5. So
this is his scheduled stop now. Well, maybe not scheduled. Hunter Beloshin back in that 5th place battle that we were on before.
Have now one of the GT LM drivers coming right by them right now as they're coming up towards 6 and 7, or coming out of 6 into 7 down this back straightaway. Let's see if Willoshin can utilize a little bit of the slipstream to see if he can close into the back bumper. Not a whole lot of drafting here to use at this track, but this could be a good opportunity to maybe take a peek to the inside when they get down towards the chicane as one of the prototypes comes by very quickly by.
We don't need to go to it, but our top 3 in the prototypes have now pitted.
yeah, Ulmer was, stay on this battle, Ulmer was being hounded by Smith. Gerard will get out quickly. It'll be a race to see if Ulmer can beat Smith out.
Up and over the crest, down the front stretch, more cars ducking in behind them. Oh, and the GTD car of Gerard Gilbert trying to stay out of this fight. Stays
Not even
how it is. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's one thing these GTD cars have to worry about. Not only faster cars, but even in their own classes with drivers getting damaged and coming back out on track, they have to worry about their competition. As Willoshin gained a little bit of time from that, but Shane Hunter did a great job not getting into the back bumper of Gilbert. Up into turn 5, over the curb they go. So great job of it driving not to lose the car out of 5, as we've seen so many other drivers do here tonight.
Quick verbal report. Ulmer did get out in front of Smith by about the same margin, so that battle continues. They're separated by a second. Battle for second in the prototypes.
Ooh, onto the backstretch. It was looking good at first for Voloshin, but unfortunately his momentum interrupted. He drops back from Hunter, who retains that 4th place position. That was Dale Green sliding by in the prototype. Coming down to the final chicane. No chance this time by for Sheldon Voloshin. Will we see either of them duck into the pits? Neither is pitted yet. And neither is going to pit.
Second place pits in the GTEs as DeVries and Young both come in. They were in a tight battle. Let's go up to Ulmer when we get a chance. Billy Smith is coming.
In fact,
They just worked their way around Shane Hunter. Smith has been waiting for an opportunity, and boy, Ulmer gets through traffic, and then I think he has the pace.
And Ulmer has been running down Gerard. It's 8.5 seconds between himself and the leader. Remember, that was up as high as 14 seconds at one point. This could be prophetic, Bill, because Ulmer had said at one point to some of the other prototype drivers, I will win this race. He's already won Daytona. Sure, he'd love to make it 2 for 3.
Quick report, DeVries and Young come out in the same order they went in. DeVries in second, Young in third in the GTEs. Look at Ulmer now. He's coming up behind Ross Booth. And this is where Billy Smith really gets aggressive here. He'll get a better run out of this final corner. Smith will try to tuck in behind Booth, get a bit of a toe, then swing out, but I think he's too far back. Ulmer's got really good pace. If there wasn't traffic, Ulmer would have a shot to get to Gerard. Coming out of the pits, that's Henderson. And Henderson gets him. Oh, and he gets him.
Poor Billy Smith cannot catch a break sometimes. And to be fair to Henderson, it is so hard to tell what is happening a lot of times as you come out of that pit lane.
But he doesn't hold his line. I mean, can't see on this one because we're on board, but oh, here we go. Watch, Henderson comes across well off the tight apex and gets him.
So he didn't lose a position in that. He stays in 3rd place, and he's actually still got 11 seconds over Scott McGarvey. So it's not too dire. It does allow John Ulmer to really focus ahead to Gerard, who he continues to try to chase down in the final 20 minutes of this event. A quick mention in GTE, though. I've been noticing that the battle for second is getting very close. Wolf, despite all the action that he's been involved in, is only half a second behind the very quiet 007 car of Andy Scheil.
Yeah, now remember, these guys still need to make a stop, so it's a little bit of a faux battle here.
This is true.
But it is a battle, and there's not that many cars ahead of them that have pitted.
I was going to say, yeah, I see DeVries is pitted, and I think Young was ahead of them as well, but I don't think anybody else was.
Yeah, it's legitimate.
Right on board. You can see that's Billy Smith, who's trying to come back, going by both of them.
Probably a bit of
GTE cars. Go ahead,
Billy Smith. If your spotter would be following the race, may want to say, Billy Smith coming up behind you, not in a good mood. You may want to give him a little extra room.
Closing in through that chicane. Great run by Josh Wolf. Here is a driver who's been a little bit snake bit. Both Wolf and Scheil coming in. Last round, poor Josh Wolf found himself on top of Jason Gerard at one point. And by the way, we do have a leader in this race in the GTE field. It's this guy, Alex Simonik, the 3rd race in a row that he is looking very safe for a victory. The competitor we thought who would challenge him most, Bradley Haley, has found his unfortunate luck in this series continues on. A little bit of damage on the front left, though, of that Bimmer. So all of our prototypes have pitted. We're still waiting for a handful of the GTEs and as well just a couple of the GTD cars.
Well, here comes one of them. Paul Slavonic has decided to come down pit road. This gives the lead over to Dawson Brock, who decides to stay out this time. Paul Slavonic makes his pit box, no problem at all. Going to make a quick short pit stop here to get back out on track. Doing a great job and leading up until now. So as we now wait and see who else will come down pit road in another lap or two at least, while we're closing down the final few minutes left in this race.
Brock, who continues on to lead. This is about where we start to see most of the GT cars start to come in. So I wouldn't be surprised if the next 1 or 2 laps by, Dawson Brock comes in for his scheduled stop. He is our winner from last round at Sebring, sitting in a solid second place, but not an assured second place, as he's been certainly threatened for much of this race.
But yet still doing a great job of holding on. I mean, he had a battle with Kevin Santana for pretty much the entirety of this race until the pit stop cycle started happening. So a great effort for Dawson Brock. Let's see if he's going to come down pit road this time. He's coming up towards underneath the Suzuki Bridge. So let's see if he'll respond. He does.
On in he goes. Nice and safe and smooth. Down to the pit limiter. As this is happening, I'm keeping half an eye on P7 and the prototypes because Mole and Peterson are once again right up next to each other. Coming around to complete another lap. They've actually got a clear bit of track around them.
Kayla, 2 cities here. Mole up 4 position. Peterson chasing down 2.
Rare moment where we don't see GT cars causing headaches for them, and a bad turn 3 for Lee Peterson costs him. Ooh,
he now falls back by about a second now.
Peterson seems to be struggling with something because he also bobbled big time through turn 5 there. I wonder if that car is just not handling well.
Yeah, I think it's a testimony why he is down 2 spots. It's something not going right.
I believe he was the one that had contact side to side with the GT car through the chicane at one point, and his steering might not be perfect at the moment.
Now, remember that battle, Joe, you were talking about there with Shile when he was in that? They had to make their stop. Well, they made their stop, and that has brought Daniel Bralte into the mix as well. This would be for what, 6th position, if I'm reading that right? 6th in class, yeah. Exactly.
But Turcotte actually is more under threat for now because Daniel Gralte's got to run and taking a little bit of a peek to the inside. No defensive move from Olivier. A little bit of a lock up in the brakes. Almost gets into him as Daniel Gralte barely avoids car contact.
And that was our overall leader, Jason Girard, who got through those 3 cars. Didn't want any part of that during the technical section.
Gentlemen, I got a little bit of an announcement to make in GTD. That pit stop, that 1 lap between Brock and Slavonic, this puts Brock up into the lead right now over Slavonic for the GTD lead. And it's going to be a tight one right now. They're just now coming out of turn 5, both of them. And it's about 3 or 4, or about 5 or 6 car lengths separating these 2 drivers as they're coming up to turn 6.
You know, I'm looking at their pit stops, and Slavonic was about 6 seconds slower in his stall. That explains why he got jumped by this guy right here, Dawson Brock. Now, I'm not sure if he had repairs to do or why it was so much longer.
That I don't know either, so we might have, if he comes in, we'll have to maybe ask about that situation. But right now, Dawson Brock up front and holding on to the lead as we're closing in under 20 minutes to go left in this race. Let's see what Slavonic can do. Can he catch up to Dawson Brock, or can Dawson make it 2 in a row here tonight?
Impressive feat for the Grizzly driver. Let's go up to the GTEs in second place in that class. Bill, DeVries, and Young getting pretty close together.
David Sockrider in the prototype trying to get around DeVries right now. Young has been stalking DeVries this entire race. DeVries had a much better stop, opened it up to about 2.5 seconds after the pit stop, but Young has been running him down. I think Young is faster. I think DeVries is just better through traffic, and every time they get to traffic, things just don't seem to work out for Young, and he has to do it all over again. But now, in open traffic, he's closed the gap down to under a second.
We ride on board with the number 27 car. Mike Young doing what he can to try and reel in our current champion of what was LMP1. He's now switched over to much slower cars here in the GTEs. We're going to get lapped by Brandon Guarcia, who's coming up behind them. Is this once again going to put out Young? No, he's just going to manage to get to the racing line in time. Does lose a little bit. Oh, as that was Gilbert trying to pull out of the way. Just glad he did not spin back onto the track with two wheels off in the grass through turn one.
Boy, Young is really close. Here, I guess we're going to go away to Mole, but Young is within 3 car lengths now of that spot.
Keeping an eye on each of them. So I'll break in if that starts to erupt, but we ride on board with the number 79, looking back at Leif Peterson. Peterson started this race in 6th position and is currently down in 8th spot. It was an impressive qualifying, but unfortunately just has not been able to keep it clean this race. It's such a different beast from what we've seen of him racing over in the Precision Racing League. "12 minutes to go, and I believe we've got all of our cars having pitted, and things are relatively calm. So why don't we run through the top 5 in each of our classes just to get our audience up to speed, starting with our overall leader. Now, Jason Girard looked like he was going to stomp the field today, but since about halfway through the race, John Ulmer has run him down, just hasn't been able to make any more inroads. This is Ulmer right now sitting P2. He has gapped the car behind him by a huge margin, 14 seconds to Billy Smith. But poor Billy Smith, I don't think you can really blame him too much for the reason for that gap. He had a little bit of contact with Henderson earlier on. He's still trying to run away from Scott McGarvey. Just a calm race. That's what we're used to from Scott, our current champion in these HPD cars, running 4th. And then another quiet race. Kevin O'Keefe finding himself in the top 5 once again. Bill?
Okay, this is an exciting clash. You think it wouldn't be exciting with Alex Simonik up by 27 seconds. But we have 2 good battles going on. Let's go down to 2nd position. This is Jason DeVries, who is trying to hold off Mike Young. Mike now back by almost 2 seconds. Again, that goes up and down depending on traffic. So DeVries in 2nd, Young in 3rd. I want to go back to the next battle. This one might be even more exciting. This is William Laster racing in 4th, but coming fast is Joshua Howland-Wolf in 19th overall. I think he's going to get there pretty quick. Let's go to the GTDs.
Well, right in front of that battle for the top 4 right there is going to be Dawson Brock, your current leader, was able to jump the likes of Slavonic through pit stop cycles, giving him a great advantage overall. Currently sitting about 3 seconds over Paul Slavonic, currently sitting in 2nd. Your pole sitter doing a great job, been running inside and leading this race until the pit stop cycles came along. Currently in the 3rd position right now is Kevin Santana, having a little bit of a rough night, though. Had a little bit of damage to that nose of the car. Was one of our early pit stop competitors, or early ones to take a pit stop. He goes through the grass right there, through the S's on board, but currently doing a great job holding on to that 3rd position. Moving on into the 4th position, we're going to be looking at, let's see here, we'll pull up my relatives right quick. Mike Major doing a great job. He started out towards the back of the field, but worked his way up, doing a great job, currently sitting in 4th. And rounding out your top 5 is going to be Shane Hunter in that 927 Mercedes, as he's finishing up, trying to hold off, but only doing quite well so far this race. Joe?
I have sad news for Billy Smith fans. Literally seconds after I reported on his position, he made contact with another GT car, and he appears to have DQ'd from too many incidents.
Let's go quickly.
Billy Smith is out of this race.
Can we go to Josh Wolf real quick? This is a battle with William Laster. We talked about it. Wolf just ran him down. Laster wants it back.
Looks to the inside down at a turn 1. This is for...
Contact on the front straightaway. Daniel Gralty, along with several other cars, flipping all on the front straightaway. Ryan Huff as well. They were trying to get by Kevin Santana, and there was 3 wide coming on the front straightaway. It looked like, let's see here, Dave Hill, Ryan Turcotte, several
Turcotte
different drivers.
Side of him.
Yeah. As we see right there, Santana goes off a little bit offline. That causes him to slow down. And then right there, almost 3 wide, there's the contact between Gralty and as well as Ryan Huff.
A little hip check from Turcotte there.
Disappointing with 10 minutes left to go to have such a big incident. They're certainly not going to be able to return for the finish of this race. Back to DeVries, who runs P2.
Let's go to Wolf if we could. Wolf and Laster. That's that battle we were looking at. They are still side by side. This is and now they go off track.
Yeah, Laster just running out of pavement, out of the chicane. That's a great boon to Joshua Wolf, who now gets himself a handy gap.
Boy, he really had to work hard. Wolf was coming. When we were doing the rundown, I told you Joshua was coming. By the time we got done with the rundown, he had got there, and now he gets by Laster comfortably in 4th.
And I'm sorry to jump us around, but Young was right underneath Jason DeVries for 2nd. Now they got split by some lap traffic. That was Kurt Gross that they just went by. They're onto the backstretch now, but Young clearly doing everything he can to try and take this away from the number 1 car.
A really frustrating battle between these guys because I do think DeVries is faster. Young gets there when they get into traffic, and he tries to capitalize. If he can't make the pass, then when things clear out, DeVries runs away again until they run into another covey of cars.
Only got 7 minutes left to do it. Let's stay on this, but for those keeping track, the incident with Smith promotes McGarvey to the podium, O'Keefe to 4th, and Kundinger to a top 5.
Kevin O'Keefe getting more points, man.
Marty Jeffries checking up DeVries slightly. They come up to the braking for turn 3. Could this finally work out a little bit better for Young? Whips around him, down into the S's. No, causes a little bit of an awkward line. Not the worst that we've seen for Young, but still does not help him. When you talk about the racing gods, Bill, is there a racing god of lap traffic? Because I think Young needs to make a sacrifice today.
He really does. Well, and all things if being equal, I think DeVries is faster.
That is Scott McGarvey going through. And though it might seem like things are settling down a little bit here at the end of the race, all I can tell you is if you're new to Autobahn, don't let that fool you. Autobahn endings are never boring. So expect the unexpected.
Yeah, Simonic's got 30-second lead on the next guy on DeVries, and he's not safe.
So let's go to Turcotte, because we got a battle for P7 in the GTEs. Olivier, after showing such tremendous pace at Daytona, is a little bit down on it here at Road Atlanta. Granted, a very different track. Maybe it just doesn't suit him the way the wide open spaces and the high banking of the Florida track does. Still going to manage a top 10. Oh, and behind him, we had a car off. That was Slavonic. That was our second place driver in the GTD. He loses out second place. How damaged is the car as well, Taylor?
It's pretty damaged. He loses it through the S's. Unfortunate, makes hard contact with the barrier. He's still going out on track right now, but he will drop to third, maybe even fourth position, as Kevin Santana was able to get by him right now. There we see, loses it going down the S's.
We had help.
A little bit, I think a little bit of contact with...
Oh, yeah. And he's had more problems after that. We're going to watch from Mole's view first, and we don't have to continue watching, but Slavonic spun again. The car is too damaged, and he's taken a tow, and he's disconnected. It is the end of the race.
There you go.
There it is right there.
We just talked about it, Joe, that you never know. That poor guy's racing in second,
Wow.
and it goes away just like that.
Makes you...
And that gives third to Mike Major, a podium for him.
I believe that might be his second podium this season, I believe. I have to double check my notes on that, but at least another top 5 run for him this season.
Yeah, I want to say that he took second place.
Ooh, a lot of issues going to the S's. John Ulmer makes contact.
And Ulmer's out now. Ulmer's towed.
One of the GT3 cars was off through the S's. I did not get a number on that one.
Oh, and Ulmer also DQ'd. You're going to see him disappear. Look at this. And he was completely innocent, I would say, in that. He couldn't have known that car would come across the track there. He was already dealing with Major.
And Major was giving him a decent amount of room through that section of the course.
I don't want to say it. It becomes cliche. I just can't say it, but it happened again.
I told the viewers to don't think that it's going to be a boring finish.
Two out of the 3 drivers who were racing in second just had their race taken from them.
This puts O'Keefe onto the podium. This is incredible.
Just keep swimming, baby.
Yeah. 2 minutes left to go, but, you know, we've just seen nothing is guaranteed, so let's go back to Laster. We're watching this fight before between himself and Scheil. This is down for P5. These two are fighting. We ride on board with William, looking back at Andy. Ferrari starting to reel him in, but it's going to run out of straightaway. Oh, and actually outbrakes himself into the corner. Canchin nearly gets into the back of him due to that. All drivers able to continue. So we've also got a bit of a battle between Dean Mole and Liam Quinn. This has been close for a lap or two. This is also for 6th in the prototypes. I think we're going to be getting the white flag next time across the line. Don't have to go to our leader quite yet. Stay on this battle as they come down the backstretch. It has been an incredible 60 minutes of racing here at Road Atlanta for round 3. Some wild twists and turns in the storylines.
Might want to jump you up to DeVries and Young. I've been keeping an eye on this one. Mike Young's really beginning to frustrate. He try as he might to get there. So I think we're on the white flag lap now. He just cannot get to DeVries.
We're getting the white flag just
right now.
Right now.
Okay.
And again, this is not over. Even though he's got a 33-second lead, he's got to be patient. That is Canchin in front of him, who was also trying to overtake Wolf. Right on board with Gerard, who's probably crossing fingers, toes, eyes, and just about anything he can cross. He's already failed to get good finishes in the first 2 rounds. We can hear him lifting. Now, I would hope that he's not short-fueled it.
And he's just lifting to get out of way from Marty Jeffries, I hope. He honestly has time to come in and take a pit stop and probably still win this
Well,
thing.
he couldn't take a pit stop now. It's the white flag lap. This boy coasts to the line. It's downhill. Down the backstretch. Go ahead.
Can he cross the start-finish line in pit lane? Is that doable? Can he?
Oh, yeah, you can.
Okay.
You can still win the race that way.
So he does pull on in, and then he doesn't have to drive all the way around.
Well, Jason Girard, I believe he's going to want to cross the finish line because it's going to be his first victory of the season here at Road Atlanta in the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge.
I believe it's going to be Dawson Brock.
Our GTD leader. A little bit closer in this one. Taylor?
A little bit, but still, Dawson Brock will take home victory number 2 after making another great strategy call here, getting a great job. He will take home the checkered flag here at Road Atlanta.
And right
Alex
behind
Simonic. Go ahead.
Alex Simonic gets the win.
Nicely done. Similarly, 30 seconds between himself and the next car back. A little bit of a... Well, I was going to say we'd have a battle between Takata and Booth, but they were behind our leader across the line. So they are finished. In fact, I'm pretty certain... Oh, Dean Mole loses out to Quinn. Is he out of fuel? Dean Mole is the one coasting to the line. Oh, and that was with 1 corner to go. Quinn streaks by, and Mole has to settle for P7. That's going to be the last of our field. So with that, we're going to go to break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. But stick around because on screen you're going to see all the upcoming races here on the GSRC. Welcome back to Road Atlanta. This track, once again for the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge, puts on quite a show and certainly turns things on its head. But Jason Gerard managed to stay above it all and take the victory here today. Scott McGarvey, you just can't count him out. Even when it seems like he doesn't have the pace, he finishes in second place. Kevin O'Keefe, similarly, running from ninth on the grid to a podium, with Carter Kundinger finishing P4. Leif Peterson, a nice climb upward, surviving all around him falling out, getting a top 5, with Liam Quinn just sneaking by into 6 in the final corner. Dean Mole sputtering to the line, just miscalculated his fuel. He takes P7. Robert Kanchan 8th, and the last of the prototypes on the lead lap. Brandon Guarcia finishes 9th, David Sockrider 10th, Dale Green 11th, and Mark Wilson rounds out your 12 cars that finished in the prototypes. Bill?
Okay, everybody hoping in this class that Alex Simonic either falls in love, gets a new job, or maybe signs up to go to Mars because he's 3 for 3. He's going to be unstoppable. Jason Voorhees gets second. Mike Young chased him the entire race. Will have to settle for the final podium spot. Joshua Wolf was able to get around William Laster. He gets 4th. Laster gets 5th. Andy Scheil in behind him. Olivier Chicot, Ross Booth, Dino Topic, Dave Hill, Ryan Huff, Mark Schindel, Chris Costa, Lyndon Swaby, and Tyler Gilmet. Taylor?
In the GTD, we have Dawson Brock as your winner in this class, followed by Kevin Santana. He will come home in second in the GTD, with Mike Major rounding out your podium finish. 4th position will go to Shane Hunter, followed by Marty Jeffries in 5th. 6th place goes to Kurt Gross. In the 7th position, Jay Frells. 8th position, Tim McLeish. 9th position, Gerard Gilbert, while Paul Sylvanik had a terrible ending towards the race, making a mistake and getting a little bit of hip check from some prototypes. He will come home in 9th with Robert Sklenka. He will round out in the top 10. And Joe, I tell you what, a lot of drivers DNF'd in this race. Let's go over those ones.
Yeah, Billy Smith among them. You saw smattered in there. John Ulmer was up earlier. Sheldon Rosenbaum, Daniel Gralty, Sheldon Woloshin, Trevor Vavroski, Armando Edwards. And we're only to P45 at this point. Travis Henderson, Paul Lindsay, Alan Haysbeck, Bradley Haley returns on a sad note. Cy Andra, unfortunately, looking at a podium and ends his race early. 50th overall. Scott Corbin, Robert Jackman, Lionel Duprat. I feel for this guy. He was also looking at a potential podium early on. He's 53rd. Matt Quinn takes P54. Mark Kudrowski. Stephen McGarvey, surprising for him down there. Joey Trungale, Matt Owens, and then I believe Peck and Reese did not starts. But we had a full server today. And first up, we're going to talk to a driver who might be a bit full of champagne already. Jason Gerard, your winner overall. Jason, that first lap really set the tone for everything. You were 3 seconds ahead before you got to the line for the first time.
Yeah, I was actually pretty surprised that I think it was Billy and either Billy, Cy, and John were just all fighting with one another, and that certainly set the pace for me just to kind of stretch it out. But I'll tell you what, I really needed that race after a couple bad races. It's just nothing seems to be going my way until today, and I was really having some pessimistic thoughts about racing with 59 cars here and hoping that I would actually get out on the other side with a clean car, but somehow I managed.
I'm sure having a nice gap helped you take your time to make those decisions. And speaking of that, we noticed that you got up to about 14 seconds. And then later in the race, it was whittled down to about 7 or 8 seconds. Would you attribute that more to you just taking it easy amongst the traffic, or was Ulmer genuinely gaining on you?
No, I think it was when I got out of the pits, literally had like a gaggle, about 5 or 6 cars in front of me that were parking right on the apexes of the corners, and I think on my out lap I lost like 3 or 4 seconds just due to that. And it's just lap traffic roulette around here. Really, it just depends on where you catch the traffic. You can lose half a second or you can lose 3 seconds. It all depends on where you catch it.
Well, Jason, obviously you do have drop weeks to help you out. So is this where your championship begins?
I just take it race by race. I think I've had, like I said, I've had a couple bad weeks, so who knows? We'll see. But I just take it race by race, try to win, and hopefully the championship will just take care of itself at that point.
Well, this race was a win for our friend Jason Gerard, victory in the prototype class for the number 02. Let's go to Bill with Alex Simonik, our winner in the GTEs.
Little misfortune for Bradley Haley made it a little easier on you. Alex, any close calls out there with lap traffic?
There was a couple times I got rear-ended by an HPD into turn 3, which wasn't fun. But it was going to look like a fun race with Brad and, who was it, Steven, starting within 4/10 of me.
Yeah.
And it seemed good for about 2 or 3 laps, and then Brad just got loose in turn 5.
Yeah, I want to ask you about traffic. You talked about being rear-ended. Is it more worrisome getting out of the way of the prototypes or trying to get around the GTDs?
It depends on who you're driving with. You're not really getting out of the way of HVDs because mainly you're just trying to hold your line and make yourself as predictable as possible for the other drivers. And when you're with some of the AM drivers in GTD, it could be kind of annoying, but it's fine. Like the only really annoying thing was getting held up down through the S's, but that happens in every endurance race that happens here at Road Atlanta.
Without getting specific, and I don't want you to drop any names, are there some times when you see a name in your rearview mirror coming that you say, "Oh no, not this guy"?
Sometimes.
Okay, let's leave it at that, man. Hey, congratulations, 3 for 3. Keep it going. Let's see if we get it perfect. What would it be? 15 for 15, I guess, this season.
I'm gonna go for it.
All right, Joe.
Ambitious. We also have our winner in the GTD class. Taylor's going to talk to Dawson Brock.
Yes, we're here with Dawson Brock. Dawson, 2 for 2 right now, and a little bit of a nice pit strategy call there. Tell us about that.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I started out. I was thinking I had the right calculation. I just kind of based it on how much gas it took to go halfway through the race, and then the other half, simply. But then, so once the pit stop came around, I realized I might be a little bit short. I'm gonna throw a little bit of extra fuel in the car, and it ended up being just enough. So I didn't realize it at the time that's what got me around Slavonic, and actually it was pretty lucky in the end. I think the pit strategy just kind of fell into my lap. I'm lucky to have it.
All right. Do we feel possibly that we might continue on with this streak we have of another win possibly at Watkins Glen, or we just going to take it a little bit easy, try to keep the points needed?
I'm just gonna keep racing and take it easy and just try and race for points. We were gonna keep doing our best. So far, just been clean races. I haven't made mistakes. Some of the other guys around me have. We just need to keep doing that. And I'm not going to necessarily focus on I need to be in P1. It's going to be bring a car clean and see how the cards are in the end.
All right. And one more question right quick. We've noticed a lot of drivers mess up through turn 5. Tell me, did you come close to making any mistakes there? You looked pretty clean for the most part.
Turn 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, there were a couple of times. I'm not terrible with turn numbers, but I think I know what you're talking about with that sand trap there on the right. That was hairy, especially, I don't know, I'm sure you guys saw the track temp, over 110 degrees. It was hot. We were all struggling for grip. The car slowed down immensely, and especially through there where you're just hanging on to those tires. It was really sliding, and there were a couple times where it got hairy, but you just had to know to avoid that curb and not hop over it and then get into that wall. You just had to hit that grass.
Well, congratulations for keeping it off the grass and out of the wall, Dawson, and winning here today at Road Atlanta.
Yep, thanks, guys.
Hey, any questions that Dawson Brock's an oval driver? That should tell you there is he had to figure out where turn 5 was.
He's not used to counting that high.
No, that's right. One more than he can count.
And if it tells you how exciting this race was, we never even looked at the weather this whole time. But Carter Kundinger might have taken a peek at it because he managed to get himself a top 5 with 4th place. Carter, looking at your race, it seemed like you were mostly staying out of trouble and kind of ahead of all the chaos that always seemed to erupt behind you.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of like my whole plan basically going into this race. I knew that there was going to be trouble everywhere. So, like, before the race, I was debating, okay, I could have a fast setup but loose, or I could have a stable setup but not so fast. So I was like, well, I might as well take the stable one just because I know that there was going to be stuff going on and on. But yeah, I mean, it was, to say the least, it was a pretty hectic race. I really don't think I could have done anything better than that.
Now, we didn't get to see you last round at Sebring, but you did manage a 6th at Daytona. I mean, how does these 2 finishes so far this season, how do those feel for you? Do these meet your expectations?
I think they definitely meet, if not, are a lot better than what I expected to be coming into this. I knew preseason, I knew Prototype was going to have a lot of big names: Billy Smith, John Ulmer, Jason Girard. So I knew that I was going to be at least attempting to compete with them. And so every race so far, I've been able to beat at least 1 or 2 of them, whether that's just through pace or just through their unfortunate events. But so hopefully I can slowly climb up the ladder and get some more top 5s or top 3s.
Well, congratulations on a top 5 for this race. It certainly seemed well earned, and you did what a lot of others could not do, Carter.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
4th place, Carter Kundinger. Up next, we have P2 in the GTE class, and Bill's going to talk to Jason Deep Freeze DeVries.
Jason, you had Mike Young chasing you the whole time. Tell me if I'm wrong. I really want to hear your opinion of this. I thought you were faster than Young if it wasn't for traffic, but man, every time traffic come, he'd get right there on.
I think you're right, Bill. Long time no speak, by the way. Good to hear from you.
Yeah.
I think that was true in the middle of the race, and then at the end, I was having some tire wear issues, and when the track cooled down a little bit, I didn't have the same grip. So, I think if we had a few more laps, he probably would have caught me and got around me.
Is there any way you can have anything for Alex Simonic this season?
It's going to take a long time. He's just at another level right now. So, it's just a matter of putting in the work. And, he got to that point for a reason. And a lot of what he did is repeatable. So it's just a matter of, now I have to play catch up. So, I may get some scraps here or there if he has some trouble, but there's a pretty big skill gap. I'm not going to make any qualms about it. So he's a heck of a driver, and he's a really good mark to try to catch over the course of the season.
Hey, but this is Autobahn, man. The disaster can strike at any minute. Hey, good luck the rest of the way. Nice job with your 2nd place.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
Jason DeVries, runner-up in the GTEs. Joe?
And we've got one of the drivers just off the podium. Taylor's going to talk to Josh Wolf, one of our Grizzly drivers in this series.
Yes, we're here with Joshua Wolf. Joshua, great run, finishing 4th position. But I tell you what, you had quite a battle later on in the race with William Lassiter. Tell us about how you felt through there.
We were both struggling, and traffic, I think, was a big factor in that one. Coming up on the GTE leaders and just catching them. I think he caught them at some bad times, and I just got through them, and that helped there. And then we ran for a couple laps, and then I think I started pulling away again just because of traffic.
All right. And now that we're still early in the season, is there any tracks that you're looking forward to that you might be able to break through and break into the podium, or just going to try to take it race by race?
I'm looking forward to the next track, as that's my home track. So see what we can do there. Definitely try and get a lot of practice in there and see what I can do. I'm gaining week by week with this setup. Normally I'm a prototype driver, so this is kind of a little new to me, but definitely enjoying it.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time at your home track in Watkins Glen, and look to see you forward to putting up a good show for us and a great effort.
Thanks.
All right. That was Joshua Wolf finishing 4th in the GTLM class. Joe?
We just flew through interviews today. We got a lot of people
6 of them, baby.
Yeah, some really great answers in there. Fascinating stuff to find out about this race. And it does bring us to a close, though. And I want to thank John Ulmer and the entire Autobahn crew for bringing us on for another season of coverage. We've been here since season 2, believe it or not. We're now in season 8. But thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts that you can see listed on your screen. Additional thanks also go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Bill, Taylor, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Head on over to our YouTube page when you get a chance and hit that big red subscribe button so that you don't miss a moment here on the GSRC. And if you do that, you won't miss 2 weeks from now when we go to Watkins Glen. That'll be Monday, May 6th at 9:15 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.